Spooky season has left us. 'Tis far in the distance now. We are but hanging on to its coattails, or entrails depending on your type of spook. And while that is incredibly sad. No, seriously, I am far in my feels about it. It does mean that very distantly end of year content is on the horizon. That's right, it is time for all you wrap up freaks to be sat for your Super Bowl. But until we reach such auspicious times as the 1st of December, it would appear that I owe you something. So let's talk numbers and progress, shall we? Maybe the lack thereof, I don't know. And welcome back to another video. And of course it can only be one video. Not quite the one video to rule them all, because that would be the conclusion of this year's bingo board. Instead, it is the last update for the 2025 bingo board from hell. This year I have been trialling out bringing you bingo board updates per quarter, and you seem to love it, and I certainly seem to love it, because it means that I don't have to reckon with numbers every single month, just like 4 times a year in a big chunk. And now you might be thinking to yourself, Winnie, it is a little bit late for quarter 3 numbers, dost thou not think? And thou art correct. 'Tis indeed a little bit late for quarter 3 numbers, but I decided to keep them for you guys. I held them back just a smidge, because this is the last bingo board update of the year. You will not get another bingo board update from me until January, when we find out if we have in fact bingoed anything. Magic 8 Ball says variable. So I held off for a little bit because this one's got to tide you over. But before I do get into the nitty gritty of this update, I want to let you know, for everybody already asking, you can expect the brand new bingo board from hell for 2026 in December. It will be there at the start of December so that you guys can spend all of your festive period planning what you are going to torture yourself with for next year. As always, I have absolutely lived for your bingo board updates this year. Some of you are so accomplished that you put me to shame. So don't fret, if you wish to challenge yourself for 2026 with a brand new bingo board, that chance is coming to you very soon. And if you would like to have a say in choosing the theme for 2026's bingo board and the colour palette for it, then you can check out my Patreon down below. Alrighty, so as always, let's have a look at our top level details. So as of the end of quarter 2, I had read 51 books. Here they all are, and they are somewhat dubious, in some cases glory. Some of them are sitting there like gems in the crown, other ones are kind of like poops in the punch bowl, you know? Here are the books that I've read up to the end of quarter 3. There are 73 of them, if I have counted correctly. I did count when I put these graphics together originally, and then I recounted just now, and I was a book out, so, you know, do with that what you will. Now, I will point out that there is one book which has been added to this slide that I had previously missed off entirely. That book is The Reformatory by Tanarive Dew, and I discovered that it was missing because I started to reread it in October, and when I went to add my like dates read for October to Goodreads and Storygraph, I was like, excuse me, I do think there has been a tiny error here, because I had originally read The Reformatory at the start of quarter 2, and this was in fact a spooky season reread because it has lived in my brain rent-free since the moment that I finished it. So I had a moment of, no, what do I do? So I went back and added it, and now it has its proper pride of place. I've made one other edit in the numbers, and that is that you guys have been screaming at me that the Dallargut department store is in fact a duology, and that even though I have DNF'd the series, it is nevertheless a series that I have thus started and finished this year, and that it should be added to those numbers. And every single time I talk numbers, somebody brings it up. So I have gone back and I have retrospectively added that to my series complete. So you will also see that changed in the numbers later on in this video. Now, I personally, as a person with dyscalculia, do not allow myself to get too pressed about this stuff anymore. This is not taxes, it is not that deep. But I will move heaven and earth if something is bothering you guys. So, I have fixed all of that. Next up, as always, let's have a look at how this quarter's reading compares to previous quarters. So first up, we had quarter one with 29 books read and 30 books purchased, which is a fairly stable number going on previous years. Then in quarter two, we had 20 books read and 15 books purchased. Now, although my books purchased is definitely trending down year upon year, because of course I am now doing this bingo board challenge, that does not necessarily translate to the books read. And so we know that the reason that the books read in quarter two was so low for 2025 is simply because I hit a tremendous reading slump, a massive reading slump, one in which I actually just put reading down entirely, which is something that hasn't happened to me for years and years. I am now thankfully completely out of that reading slump. I am back to reading at my normal pace, but that little dip in the year has definitely taken a toll on my overall numbers. And looking at my Goodreads right now, where obviously I am a little bit further ahead than the numbers I'm giving you today because this is only up to the end of quarter three, I am 7 books behind with 2 months to go. So I do have a little bit of fear about meeting my target this year, and I do think I still need to kind of like sit in myself with that idea of this being like a goal and a thing that I would like to reach and not actually a target that I must meet in order to be successful. But that's definitely an unpicking that I need to do in my own time. And so with that in mind, let us take a look at quarter three's numbers. As you can see, in previous years in quarter three, I have read between 24 and 26 books. Yay! 26, the exact same as it was last year and up on 2023. Although I would have liked it to be higher to like make up for some of the books that I didn't read in quarter two, it is still very consistent with my numbers, so I am very pleased with myself for that. And then of course the number that you've all been waiting for, 11. I hauled 11 books in quarter three. Who are they? What in the fiscal responsibility is going on here? Now, in all seriousness, these numbers for quarter three went up until my last book haul that you guys have seen. Since then, literally in the 2 days after, I have trickled more books, and this point in the publishing calendar is obviously quite busy, and so this number has definitely gone up. Just keeping it totally real for you guys, even though these numbers are astronomically trending downwards, and every quarter I have more than half the previous year's numbers, that still does not always translate to a higher 60% ratio if I have read less books. It is, as always, a game of swings and roundabouts, my pals. Okie dokie spooky, let us move on to the next slide. Okie dokie spooky is something that lovely spouse Harry taught me when we first got together, and it is a deeply comforting phrase in my lexicon now. Alright, so our next exhibity, let me just squizzle over here, is of course our bingo board from hell as of the last time that we saw it. So in some cases on this board we are doing terrifically well, and in other places on this board we are doing bad, horrifically badly. In fact, let us take a look at my classic square first, which is arguably the square that I have done the worst in by like a marked mile on this bingo board this year. There's always one. There's always one square that is just pants, and this is it this year. This is it this year. So as of last time we updated, I had read one classic. That classic was of course the Count of Monte Cristo, and even though that book itself could realistically be chopped up into its own little trilogy, it does in fact still only count as one book. And let's see, let's have a look at all of these books that I have read thus far this year, and yep, nope, not another single classic amongst them. Nada, zip, zilch, none. And look guys, I am calling it. There is no way, absolutely no way, that by the end of 2025 I am going to have read 9 more classics. I say this with all the love in the world to myself. While December will probably bring a couple of classics, it's likely that I will put a couple of my favourites in there because I do tend to do comfort reads in December. The stark reality of the situation is that I am not going to manage 9 of them in 2 months. And so that does mean that we cannot bingo this top row, this side row, or on the diagonal. And I'm just gonna have to be okay with that. It does, however, somewhat tingle the question of whether we add classics into next year's bingo board from hell. It does seem to be my trend that when I utterly fail on a square and I put it on the next bingo board, that I make it like a full redemption saga. So it's possible, but it's also possible that I would then add it to the next bingo board and I wouldn't want to do anything about it there either. And I don't really know how this has happened because I started this year being really excited to dig back into my classics. There's a bunch of them on my shelves. I'm actually deeply invested in giving a go and I have just not got around to, so yeah, I'm gonna have to process that one in the old brain box in the background and decide. And as you can hear, that means that I have not decided on all of the squares that will be present in next year's bingo board from hell. I have a couple of them that I completely know are going to be there, but others I'm like, it's kind of up in the air. So if there is anything that you think should be on my 2026 bingo board from hell, then of course leave that down in the comments below. I would love your opinions on this matter. Next up, let's just go on down this row and we will head to my non-fiction square. This square is of course read 20 non-fiction books, and last time that we looked at it I had read 13, this 13 in fact. Now, non-fiction is usually a square that's a no-brainer for me. I put this up from 10 books last year to 20 thinking, I need a bit more of a challenge. Didn't realise it was going to be this much of a challenge. There have been a few things that have become starkly apparent to me this year, and in fact from 2024's bingo board from hell as well, and that is that in the last couple of years my reading has been a really unqualified mixed bag. As in, like, I have been all over the place, way more than I have in previous years, with genres that I love and the types of books that I'm picking. And yes, part of that is because I am doing this bingo board challenge, and part of that is because it is experimental, and in making sure that I tick off some of these squares I am picking up things from like my TBR veterans and other areas that I might not have originally reached for as often. But that does mean that I am reaching for what ostensibly are my favourite genres less and less, and that's something that I am definitely going to have to address in 2026 because we know how much I love non-fiction and I am definitely not prioritising it this year. So since last time I have read 2 more books. That makes 15 books in total, and the books that I've read, just for your edification, are what my father and I don't talk about and what we fear the most, I think. This trash thing I will be utterly slating on tops and bottoms when we get there, so if that's your jam then, you know, wait for that one. Now, does this mean that I think that I could bingo this one before the end of the year? Yes, maybe 5 books is a lot more manageable than 7 books, but I think that it will depend entirely on how my 60% number is looking. And because I have bought less books this year, there are less non-fiction candidates within the books that I have purchased. Okay, so next up, let's have a look at my Finish 5 series square. We know that I have already completed this one for the year. This one is a big thumbs up, but that doesn't mean that I have stopped working on it. I don't stop working on any of the squares throughout the year, even once I know that they've been bingoed. So with that in mind, let us have a look at all of the books that I have read that have been parts of series so far this year. Yeah, there are a lot of them, right? There are a lot of them. If you watched my last series tracker spreadsheet update video, that was an entire mouthful, then you guys will have seen that towards the end of Q2 I really nailed it on finishing off series. I finished off the Athena Club series, I have finished off the Marple series, the Aveline Jones series, I read and effectively once again finished off the Hunger Games series, and now you can also see that I have added things like Shadow and Bone and the first Percy Jackson series rereads. And there's one more. Oh yeah, Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I have also finished off my reread of that. So I have gone from 7 series finished to 12 series finished. That is many. That is many. and it does make me think that if I keep my finish series square next year, I maybe need to up that number just a little bit. As always, the whole aim of the bingo board from hell is to like cheer us on and give us things to aspire to, but it is not something that is there to beat ourselves over the head with. If there aren't any easy wins at all on your bingo board and everything is a struggle and everything feels like it's something that is taking things from you to get there, then it's just going to stop being fun and we're not going to do it. So quite a lot of little series where I had got stuck in the middle of a reread, or I just had one book to go or something like that in 2025, and that does mean that my series tracker is a little bit more under control, shall we say. And to that end, I will probably end up starting a few more series in 2026. So should I up this number? Probably. Will I? Maybe. We'll see. Carrying on down the bottom of the board, we have got my Listen to 30. Where was I? Oh yes, we have my Listen to 30 audiobooks square. And last time we left off so close. We were at 29 audiobooks. So here are all of the books that I had listened to as of last update. It has been a fair percentage of my reading from this year, of which we are not surprised because obviously last year my priority was to get myself back into audiobooks, and that has definitely been a thing that has picked up as a trend in 2025. So now let's see how many more books that I have listened to on audiobook. That is right, I am now up to 37 books on audiobook, which means that we can give this a little completed marker. Pew, 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 pew. Oh, and hey, looking at this, I have done myself out of a completed marker on my series tracker part. So let's just add that. Thank you very much. So 37 audiobooks and 12 completed series does mean that this bottom row is looking quite promising, because we have of course already completed our 10 TBR veterans for this year. As of last update, we were on 12, so we have officially bingoed something, guys. We have bingoed this bottom row. An early bingo is a fun bingo. Of course the goal is to see how many things we can bingo. One of these days we might get a fully bingoed board. I doubt it. So at least I can say that I've got one line under my belt. So let's have a look at what the update is on TBR veterans for this time around. Ta-da! We have gone from 12 TBR veterans to 15 TBR veterans. I feel highly accomplished, blessed and favoured. Yes, I do have a trusty highlighter because my numbers are also in front of me scribbled on a pad, because you know, the reality is that is actually how I keep track of all of my numbers, and I only update the shiny bingo board for you guys. Come back. I need you for consistency. Alright, so let's carry on up this side and let's talk about the library books. Again, this is so close, so incredibly close, tantalisingly so, but I had been having a little bit of a problem with library books from quarter 2 into quarter 3, and that is completely because everything that I went to check out on my library app has ridiculous wait times, like huge wait times, and I was not getting any luck with my like skip the lines or even just sort of like browsing the immediately available stuff. It just wasn't happening for me, and so I've had to wait for quite a while to come to the front of the line on any of the books that we had available from the library. So here are all of the books I'd read from the library as of last time around, and now here it is. Here is the 10th and final book for this square. And I say 10th and final because I think there is a good chance that that might actually be the case. I think there is a good chance that I might not get to the front of the line on any of my holds until the end of the year, until it's pretty much not going to have a chance to be counted on this bingo board, because having calculated them, most of them are going to come out in the last couple of days of December. So this might be the very last update that this square gets for the rest of the year, and we might just have to be okay with that. Now, heading back up the side here, we have got my series tracker square. The task here was to read 10 books from my series tracker spreadsheet, and I have really focused on this task this time, you guys. I have zeroed in on the series in a way that I never have in the past. These squares or permutations of them have always been present on the bingo boards from hell, right from the first one in 2023. And the reality is that it took until this year for me to actually like pull my finger out and really honestly work on them. The intention and the will had always been there, but the follow through was lacking. This year the follow through is immense because we have gone from 18 books on the series tracker to this many books on the series tracker for this quarter. This many books being 28 books on the series tracker, and that is of course including the Dollar Gut department store and both of the series tracker numbers, as you guys have told me, which I know comes from a sense of love and be nice to yourself, Winnie. So I have done this thing, but that does once again mean that might be another completed row. That might be another bingoed line. Just maybe. Can you tell that I'm buzzing? Because I'm buzzing. And then next up, because of course I'm not going to carry on in the circle, of course I'm still leaving you in suspenders about my 60% right to the end, we have the centre square. Now the centre square on my bingo board has never been bingoed. It has always been trash, and it has always been one of the squares that I have changed midway through the year because, as you know, I am not going to keep a square on this bingo board that I know is absolutely not working for me or that just wasn't a good idea and that I'm not even looking at, let alone trying to accomplish. And last year, in my last change towards the ends of the year, I did change it to a clear your shelf square, which I thought, that's going to be super motivating. But I picked a really stupid shelf to do it. I picked a full shelf of fantasy hardbacks, which was just never going to happen at that point in the year. So this year I was like, do you know what? I'll add it back and we will have a whole year to pick it. I only just picked the shelf that I was going to work on in like the start of September. My patrons helped me pick it in a poll and they were very, very nice to me and they picked the shelf with the least books on it. So I only have 4 books. That's 5. I only have 4 books to read for this entire square, and so far I have read 2 of 4. Yep, I have done that thing. Do I want to read the other 2? No. Has it become a massive block in my head? Yes. Am I going to still try in the last 2 months of this year? Maybe. In all seriousness, I think that the clear shelf square needs to be gone for next year. I think that it just doesn't work for me, that it's too big and unwieldy a task, and that it takes too long for me to decide which shelf and then to figure out the numbers for that shelf. And I don't know, there's just something about it which sticks for me, which just doesn't feel intuitive. So I'm not going to add this square to my 2020 numbers meltdown. My 2026, oh, I've been doing so well. My 2026 bingo board numbers, I'm not going to add it to my 2026 bingo board. We will see what other monstrosity will take the place of the cursed centre square. But for now, I done did it. Alright, here is, we have arrived. Here is my read 60% of the books that you have purchased in 2025 square. And as of quarter 2, we were sitting at 23%, which, let me tell you, my dudes, is not good. Not only less than halfway there, but we have to remember that this percentage is not only affected by the number of books that I read, but it is also affected by the number of books that I haul. And so therefore, the more books coming in, even if I am reading my 60% at a really good pace, that percentage is still going to keep coming down every time I bring a new book into my house. These are all of the books that I have read from 2020. I have missed another one. Can you guys spot the error? Can you guys spot the error? I'll give you a hint. It's a series in which I have read 3 books this year, but there are only 2 on the tracker. Okay, I'm going to reveal it in 3, 2, 1. Yep, it's Paladin's Grace. It's the first one in the Paladin series. Oh, that just hurts me. Hurts my brain. I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to go back and edit the whole thing. Just add 1 more book to my audiobooks and 1 more book to my books from my series tracker, and we'll be square. Because I don't know, realistically, I know it's only 1 book, but I don't know if I'm going to get to the next book in this series by the end of the year. Padfoot doesn't know either, if you heard that distant bark. So hold on, let me quickly recalculate, taking into account this one more. Okay, I have done the maths. It hasn't really affected it that much. I hope that I hope that it affected it more, but it hasn't. We have gone from 23% completed to 44%. We are over halfway. I know for a fact, just looking at my Holly Trolley, that there are, although there are a couple of books on there that are special editions of books that I've already read and they won't count, there are at least 4 books which are books that will count. They absolutely will. So, with all of that said, in order to be able to achieve my 60% square for 2025, I think that I am going to have to prioritise only books from my 60% square for November and December. That does mean that we are definitely not going to achieve, I think, my non-fiction square, because I really don't think that there are 5 books that are left in my non-fiction pile for 2025, so that one's definitely out. And it also puts in jeopardy the clearer shelf square, because the 2 books that I have left for that are not 2025 acquisitions, they are TBR veterans, and they have sat there for quite a while, so I probably should prioritise them. And I would desperately like to bingo this centre square, because I don't think I've ever done it before. But if I am prioritising books for my 60%, I think there's a good chance that the middle square is also a goner. Which is a big problem, besties, because we know I'm not going to do 9 classics in the final 2 months of the year, because I don't have 9 classics that are new acquisitions. Which means that even though I might complete my 60% square, it's not going to count for any bingos, because I can't bingo the top line and I might not be able to bingo the centre column. I don't know why, but that's just indescribably painful to me, that I might do all of this and it wouldn't even count to a bingo. This is when I have to remind myself that each of these individual squares is a huge win, and that previously I would not have been able to achieve it. Something else that is popping into the back of my brain is to also be mindful that I'm not just picking these short books from my 2025 acquisitions for this square, even though choosing shorter books would mean that I would be able to read more of them. I don't love shorter books more than I love longer books. You know that I love longer books more, which might also make me slumpy again, which we don't want. But also it would mean that anything from 2025 which does not get read in 2025 will automatically in a year become a TBR veteran. And if I am only leaving long books as TBR veterans, then there is also more chance that they're going to stay on my shelf for a longer amount of time. I don't make the rules. I do make the rules, but I don't make the rules for how my brain works. That's just how it happens up in here. What's it like to be stable and normal? Anyway, that is it, guys. That's the last update that you will get for my bingo board from hell until 2026 in January, when all of the numbers are totaled up. Because I really do take this challenge right up until the last minute of the year. I am often reading a book just before midnight, so there's no way you're getting the numbers this year. You're gonna have to wait for January for the next big update. I need you to wish me luck. And I need you to tell me that just achieving my 60% square is enough on its own, even if it doesn't count for a bingo. I need you to tell me that. Like, hold my hand. If you have got this far through the video, then leave me an achievement emoji down below. Like, leave me something celebratory, or a medal, or a gold cup, or something. Give me essentially gentle head pats from a distance in emoji form. But also tell me down below, what are your priorities for the last 2 months of the year in your reading? Are there any goals that you're desperately trying to finish off? Are you just out here having a chill time? Is there a series that's been bothering you? Please tell me what you are aiming to complete by the end of the year. And again, keep your eyes peeled in December for the next bingo board from hell in a blank form for you to fill with all of your own hellish goals. If you are new here and you are now absolutely hooked and need to know how I get on with the final update for this board, then please hit that subscribe button down below. And if you are one of my returning subscribers who has been slogging your way through this board with me for all of 2025, then please hit that like button on your way out, because it really does help my channel. And I will speak to all of you guys really soon. Bye! Best bit about this video is that I never have to put any books away.